Hi everyone, Miss Alyssa here from the New Lenox Public Library. Today, I've got a special project for my tweens out there. We're going to be making some candy striped friendship bracelets. This is a very simple craft. Once you do it, you're going to be hooked. You're going to want to make a ton more. What you need is embroidery floss. I got this at Michael's. It came in a big pack. It's pretty inexpensive. You can also check with your parents, or if you know someone who does cross stitch, they might have some floss for you as well. I went ahead and picked out 4 colors that I'm going to be using for our bracelet today. And when you get a pack like this, there's even 2 whole rows of different colors. So it gives you a lot of options. You're also going to need some scissors, some tape, and a ruler. Now, we're going to start with a 4-strand bracelet today. It's an easier way to do it, but once you know how to do it, you can have as many strands as you want. Once you pick your colors, I went with some neon colors because it's going to be nice and fun for summertime. You're going to go ahead and cut 36 inches of each color. So what that's going to be is the easiest way I find to do it. Let's get the orange here because it's nice and bright. Is you're going to take your ruler. You're going to stretch it around once. Stretch it around the back. And then you will have 36 inches. If you want to go a little bit over, you can, but I wouldn't go too much under because as we weave, you're going to find out that you use a lot of floss for each bracelet. So once you have your strings all cut, we're going to move on to the next step. We're going to take our tape and we're going to tie a knot in our strings and mount it right here to the table. So as you can see, I've got my 4 strands right here. I made a knot and I taped it. Now, the reason you want to tape it is because if you don't tape it down, you're not going to have very much stability when you're trying to make your bracelet. So, as you tape it down, 36 inches of floss looks like it's going to be really long. How are you going to make that into a bracelet? So we're going to start with yellow here. And we're going to do what's called a forward knot. So we're going to separate all our strands out, like so, here. It doesn't matter what order you start in, but when you start it, that's going to be the order you want to stay in as you work. So we'll zoom in here. Got them all separated. Now, for this particular stitch, or knot, we're going to be making a 4. So we're going to start with yellow. We're going to take it to our first color here, which is green. We're going to make a 4. We're going to tuck this knot under here and make sure we keep our other ones all spread out and nice there. And you're going to have a little itty bitty loop on your green, and you're just going to gently pull that up. You want to hold your green one kind of tight, or whatever color you're using. You want to use the one that you're tying the knot on pretty tight, otherwise you're going to get all tangled up pretty quick. So for the candy stripe, we are going to do 2 knots on green. Okay, once you get green done, you move on to the next color. So I'm just going to grab one at random here. We'll do orange. So now we will make a 4. Making a 4. And tucking it under. 2 loop. Just like that. Let me scooch us over just a tiny bit so that you can see a little bit better. So we're going to do our second loop on orange. The most important thing when you're doing friendship bracelets like this is to make sure you keep straightening your floss out so that it doesn't get all tangled. Because once you have a tangle, you pretty much have to undo everything you've done to get it out. So do 1 knot on orange. Now we're going to do the second knot on orange. And that leaves us with pink. So we're going to take our yellow. We're going to do our number 4. That's how I always remember. The forward knot makes a number 4, like that. See, it kind of crosses and looks like a 4. So we'll do 1 knot and 2 knots. Okay, so then what we're going to do, since we just did yellow, we're going to put it over to the side here. And the next color we're going to do is green. Now, when you have your first row done like this, you'll look and see that the floss here kind of separates itself, right? So it makes it a little bit easier to remember what order to go in. So our next one is green. We're going to do the exact same thing that we did with the yellow. We are going to make a 4, loop it, and pull it tight. So that's 1, 2. We move on to pink. Same thing. We're going to do a 4, loop it, pull it tight, loop it, and pull it tight. And then the last one we're going to do is yellow because it's the color we just finished with. So we're going to do the same thing though. We're going to do a 4. We're going to loop it, pull it tight for 1 knot, loop it, pull it tight, and we got another one. Okay, so we're halfway through with our colors. Everything is still staying pretty separate. We're going to do our orange one next. So do the same exact thing. I'm going to start over the pink, and make sure when you're doing this, you want to make sure the color that you're pulling the knot with is over so you can wrap it under. So you just got to be careful, especially when you're using floss that is kind of a similar color. Like, it's kind of hard to see the difference between the orange and the pink. So you want to make sure that you're doing orange on top, looping it over, and pulling it tight. So that's 1, 2. We move on to yellow. We've got 1, 2. And the last one is green. We'll loop it, make sure orange is on top. Pull it through, knot 1, loop it, knot 2. And now sometimes you might need to use your fingers just to mush those knots up there to make sure that you're staying kind of straight there. And make sure your floss is all separated out. And now we're ready to do our last one. We're going to do our pink one. So let's see. We've got pink. We're going to start going over our yellow. So we'll do our 4, loop it, whoop, 1 knot, and 2 knots. Okay, now we do the green. Remember, we're putting it over and loop it, and 1 knot, and come on guy, don't get tangled on me now, and loop it for the second knot. And then we'll move on to orange, where we've got loop it, 1 knot, loop it, 2 knots. Okay, so now we have one completed section of our pattern. So you guys see we've got yellow, green, orange, pink. And we're going to follow that same pattern for as long as you want your bracelet to be. So we'll start with yellow again. And we'll do yellow over green, loop it. We've got 2 knots there, and then we'll do orange. And we'll do a loop and knot 1, knot 2, and then lastly we'll do pink. So loop it, knot 1, and knot 2. So when you're making these, like I said, you can use as many flosses as you want, and you can use, I wouldn't use less than 4, because otherwise your bracelet will be super duper skinny. But maybe if that's what you're looking for, by all means, give it a try. You can go as many, I've seen them done as many as like 20 different strings of flosses, but that takes a really, really, really long time. And you could also knot however many you want. I used 2 knots of each color because I think it gives a pretty nice stripe. You can use 1. It's not going to give you as much definition in your color. You can use more than 1. You can do huge chunks, of like 4 or 5 knots. You can alternate how many knots you do to make a pattern. Once you have the basic knowledge of how to do that forward knot, you can be creative and you can try a lot more different types and patterns. We'll do a couple more rows here. And like I said, you can get this kind of floss. You can get it at craft stores like Michael's or Joann. You can also get it at Walmart and I think Target. It's pretty inexpensive, and you can get a lot of bracelets out of a pack like this. It's a fun activity. They make good gifts. I know when I was a kid, we would make them and actually give them to our friends, which is kind of fun. You can make matching ones, make people their favorite colors. You can make a wider one. It also makes a pretty good bookmark if you want to use it for that. Of course, as a librarian, I always got to bring it back to books. Here we go. And there we go. And I was thinking as I was doing this, man, it would be really cool to do one of these maybe in your Hogwarts house colors. If you're a Harry Potter fan, you know what your Hogwarts house is. You could probably do that. I'm thinking about making myself a nice one with my Ravenclaw colors. If you have a sports team that you like, you can use their colors to make your bracelet, kind of a way to show your fandom. You can pretty much do all kinds of cool creative things once you have this basic stitch and knotting pattern down. And I finished one earlier, same colors. This is what it's going to look like when it's done. And this is what 36 inches of floss looks like braided up. So it's not as long as the bracelet doesn't turn out to be as long as you'd think it would be. It's pretty good for, let's see, I'm a grown-up and it fits around my wrist. You can make them even longer and do double loops on there. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those crafts that once you know how to do it, your options are pretty limitless. So tune in next week. We'll have some more fun tween stuff for you. And if you have any questions, feel free to give us a call at the library or check us out online, newlinuxlibrary.org. Have fun!